Right, hello. So yeah, this is the first time in a while I think this channel has featured any kind of Fortnite content. And the reason why is because of what the context of this video is about. So basically I thought, you know what, instead of just talking, I may as well also play Fortnite while I'm talking just to make things a bit more interesting. Hopefully I don't get too distracted while I'm saying things. We'll see how it goes. Especially since I don't ever use scripts for my videos. This could go really badly. So for those of you who are new to the channel, or have only started just watching me recently, there's a channel on YouTube called MFL Clan. It's what I'm part of. Co-founded it with MFL Trog. That's why I've got MFL in the name, right? And to put it simply, we haven't uploaded in ages. It's been like 8-9 months, and then we made a return a couple weeks back, I believe. Main reason was because of medical reasons regarding MFL Trog. He was in a hospital for, no joke, like 4-5 months, something crazy. He's really had to go through a lot. Anyway, point is, both of us hadn't really played Fortnite in quite a while. And I mean, I feel like that's probably part of the reason behind all of this anyway. Because every comment, it hasn't been too many, because to be honest the channel doesn't really get many comments in the first place. But out of the 5-6 comments this channel has had on any like videos or shorts ever since we returned, 4 or 5 of them, in other words, all but like 1 or 2, have all been something that could be regarded as hateful. Now, the reason why I said we haven't played in a while is because I think that's partly where the comments are from. Because maybe to some extent there is truth that we're not as good as we were before. That kind of thing, right? And of course, again, it's not really too much of a big deal, because it really wasn't too many comments, and I mean, for crying out loud, not a single one actually got a like, meaning no one necessarily actually agreed with them anyway. However, something that really got to me was that, oh my god, did I get a grey, green and a blue pump from that chest anyway? All that down there, that's crazy. Anyway, the point is, the reason why it got to me so much, I imagine anyway, is because basically all of the content, actually no, I believe it was all of the content which had those comments, were all from my perspective. They were all my gameplay. So I imagine you can start to see why this might have actually gotten to me a bit, because it wasn't just, you know, the clan in general or anything, it was specifically me. And I mean, for crying out loud, one of the comments, if I'm not mistaken, was along the lines of, "Can you stop showing this guy because he sucks," or something like that. And because all of these comments were fairly close to each other, you know, they all came out within a couple of days of each other. So from my perspective, it was like, oh my god, every comment we're getting is just absolutely thrashing me, you know? These people hate me. So considering that we hardly ever get comments in the first place, it did actually get to me for quite a while. But to be honest, at the same time, part of me actually doesn't completely understand why it did. If you take Steam, for example, so for those who don't know that, it's kind of like Epic Games Launcher. It's another version of those where you get games on it to play. And on that I played Dead by Daylight. And on Steam, you can go on other people's profiles and leave a comment on them. For those who don't know, people get really angry over Dead by Daylight. Like, seriously angry. So I've had a lot of people say, like, you know, angry stuff towards me, right, after playing against me. But the difference is, I really just find that funny, to be honest. Like, something I joke about, you know? I don't know why, it just always gets to me when it's YouTube instead. Or just content creation in general. And I mean, I have had a similar thing in the past, I suppose. So, like I said, I mean, I have had, I mean, it hasn't really been hate in that kind of sense, but I mean, for example, on this channel, and for Pumpkin, I believe it was the Honkai Star Rail video. Basically, for those who haven't seen it, I essentially played the game for the first time. I hadn't really planned on continuing it, and I haven't since, right? I think I made that clear at the beginning as well. And it was mainly because I didn't really find the gameplay interesting, because it was like a turn-based combat. And the problem was, I was trying to judge the game as a whole, and the thing is, I wasn't completely focused on the story of the game. I kind of like half-heartedly wasn't paying attention, but also asking questions when I got confused, even though like technically they already said it. Because people were then angry that, well, not really angry, but they were kind of criticizing me, right, for not really paying too much attention to the story. So I kind of learned from that, you know? If I want to do a similar thing again, I either have to kind of not pay attention to the story at all, or completely focus on the story, right? And I did actually improve on that, because when I then did a similar video, where I played Zenless Zone Zero for the first time, I believe I actually really focused on what was being said in the story, and people didn't complain about that. So the difference is back before, I at least kind of learnt what people were angry about and all that stuff. And I mean, again, that wasn't really hate. I'm just talking about a time that people were kind of negative towards me, I suppose you could say. But again, it wasn't really a big deal. Nowhere near the kind of extent it got to be this time around. And I mean, especially just the fact that I couldn't really see why people were being so disrespectful about the gameplay of me. So all they said was I was bad. Like, there's no way I could easily improve on that for, like, the next short they see or whatever, right? So I feel like that's probably why it got to me more, to be fair. So the thing is, as well, with comments, I basically never delete them. In fact, I don't know if I ever have deleted a comment on my channel or anything else. Because I feel like, no matter what someone says, like, no, it is still people saying stuff on your channel, and I was of the impression before, at least people who actually took time out of their day to say that kind of thing, so maybe there is actual value to what they said, right? But from this event, I have kind of learned that it's not always the case. I mean, here's the other thing. I think all but one of the comments that were kind of hateful or whatever, they were... Oh, he's lagging out there for a second. All of the comments, they were all on shorts, right? There was only one that was on the most recent long form video, I believe. So I mean, maybe that also suggests something. But the thing is, because I was talking about this to Trog before, the second he saw it, he just deleted them. And in hindsight, I'm actually really glad he did, because he knew straight from the start what to actually do in that situation. It's our channel, we can do whatever we want. Why do we have to put up with those people, right? And so here's kind of why I made this video in the first place, or why I'm recording this video right now. Because I kind of learned, why should you care what people actually say? Especially if it's that kind of thing. Because sure, I could go on each individual comment and reply to them saying, oh, you don't understand the context of those. You clearly don't realise that Trog here was in the hospital. I haven't played in ages. My overall skill at the game probably got worse ever since my back operation. You know, I could say all that stuff. Or instead I could go, nah, you probably just don't care, do you? And ignore them. Because I've realised now, like, there's really no need to bother, like, listening to what they actually have to say. I mean, for crying out loud, I even asked ChatGPT what they thought about the situation. And what it said was, you've got to remember the comments people put actually reflect a lot of them as a person, rather than what they're truly saying. Then started to realise the kind of people in the first place that actually say that stuff. I started thinking even more, why should I actually bother listening to what they have to say? They're probably like that to a lot more things in life. And on that note as well, it's that whole thing of the loud minority. If you look at all those videos where there were the hate comments, as you might put it, I think the one with the most only had about 2, yet on that same video, I can't think off the top of my head, but it had quite a lot of likes. Far more likes than the amount of comments there were, at least, you know? I suppose what I'm trying to say is, there's not actually too many people who are hateful about those things, and I think when I saw those things, especially when it just kept on coming and coming, and I thought, you know, that it was getting a bit out of hand, I think the thing is, it kind of blew out of proportion from my perspective. I kept on thinking, oh god, everyone's thinking like that. When no, it's literally like 4 people. So that's kind of my whole message about this video. Why should you actually care about that stuff? And I realise now that it was actually just silly of me to actually get so hung up on all of that. Because one other thing you've got to remember is those people aren't there. They're not there to stay around to watch more of your content. They probably couldn't care less about anything else you're posting. Probably gonna die here, I feel it. I can't build, oh no. Yeah, there's my death. That game didn't go too badly, to be fair. Got a few kills, I think. Haven't played solos in ages. I know this seemed like a bit of a different video, and, well, it definitely was, for sure. I don't normally just pick a topic and then start going in on it, or talk about things that have happened recently. I feel like this was quite an important thing to talk about, because it's a bit of a learning experience, and it really made me realise that yeah, there's no need to focus so much on what people say, especially when hateful. If any of you watching this also do some kind of content, I suppose it's just a thing to let you all know that people who are hateful like that, they really don't care, man. They don't care what you think about what they just said, to be honest. Maybe they find it funny to get your attention or something like that, you know? Maybe they want you to get annoyed. Don't let it happen. So yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.